Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, we have Joe Percoco. He's a co-founder of Titian Investment, and we're going to look at actively managed Robo advisors. Joe, thanks so much for joining us at Market Site. This is super interesting, talking about an actively managed Robo advisor, because it almost seems a bit counterintuitive.
Definitely.
So is Titan like a hedge fund?
You can think of it that way. We're technically a robo-advisor, but clients give us their capital, we manage it actively, and then we give them research similar to like a hedge fund.
Mm-hmm. And what are the ways that you can invest, and how does it all work?
Sure, very simple. Someone downloads our app in the App Store, they give us capital, then we go invest it in our marquee investment strategy, which is like a long-term hedge fund, which puts them in a basket of stocks, long-term oriented, with a personalized hedge. And then we also care about educating them as well. This isn't just like a black box ETF. We spend a lot of time bringing our investors up to speed.
All right, now typically with hedge funds you have to be what's called a qualified investor.
Accredited investor,
speed,
yeah.
Right? As an accredited investor, that means you have a certain amount of years in the market and a certain amount of capital that you can put in. Are the same requirements there for Titan to put money in?
No, that was the whole reason we started this. Me and the other co-CEO, we worked in the hedge fund space, and we always were really curious why retail investors are told to go in an ETF, but then ultra high net worth folks are investing in hedge funds and private equity. And so we built something that all accredited and unaccredited investors could invest in.
Right. I think part of the issue is obviously for the retail investor, the fees that are associated typically with hedge funds, and there's also liquidity as well.
Definitely.
Typically, it's not okay. I decide I want to get out of this investment. Sometimes there's a holding period. Are there fees associated? Are there longer-term holding periods?
Sure. We have a 1% fee, which includes all of our research and access to our capital. And then in terms of liquidity, investors can pull out or add daily. And when you rebuild something from scratch, you can sort of just stare at a blank whiteboard and say, how do we just make this the best investing app ever for our retail clients? And so it was very clear that we wanted to give them as much liquidity as they wanted.
So what's your benchmark? Which index are you benchmarking against, and what's your performance relative to that?
We're benchmarking against the S&P 500. Right now, we've been outperforming in several of our portfolios.
All right, and one of the questions I do have, hedge funds, we do continue to see outflows. There's been consecutive quarters where money is flowing out. They're going to more passive investments, ETFs, as you had said.
Definitely.
Why do you think now is the time to look at a hedge fund-like investment?
Definitely. When you think about the outflows, right now, pension funds and other LPs have access to thousands of hedge funds. So it's very clear there's a lot of great hedge funds out there and a lot of ones that probably shouldn't be in business. But when then you take a look at the retail investor, they don't have access to any. ETFs, mutual funds, and stocks is all they have access to. So we're aiming to be the first to sort of democratize that asset class for them, and they're really excited about it.
Is it actively managed in terms you have a team of analysts and traders picking your investments, or is it more software driven?
We use both. So we use a predominantly software-driven strategy to start, but we do have a research team as well that helps provide a human layer, in addition to also research. So we own things ranging from Apple to MasterCard and Visa, and right there inside the app explaining the bull case on each of those stocks. So retail investors can become investors over time.
Do you also do fund of funds or just individual stocks at this point?
Right now, just individual stocks, but it's a good question and it might hint at our future.
All right, very exciting.
Sure.
We look forward to having you back.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.